Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Fabian for Liberty. FabianForLiberty.com is the website. You go there, opt in, leave me your name and email. You'll be one of the first to receive my daily podcast. New podcast today, breaking down a lot of different things. I haven't done it for the last couple of days because I've been really busy with work, but I'm covering the new Ebola breakout in New York City with one confirmed case. A guy who was riding on the subway, going bowling, taking an Uber taxi. But, you know, according to CDC, you're totally safe. Don't even worry about it. They got it covered. Touch on that. I talk about the new grand jury testimony. Over half a dozen witnesses, all black, mind you, coming out and saying, yeah, you know, the cop actually did do everything he said. He acted in self-defense. The other guy was totally trying to go in there and kill him, take his gun. And in fact, the autopsy reveals that the gentle giant Michael Brown actually did not have his hands up when he was shot to death. So we have that story that I break down, also talking about how Obama is fundamentally transforming America as he said he would, with now giving out tens of millions of green cards to illegal aliens, according to the Washington Post. Is illegal, or what they say, non-citizens, are they going to influence the December election? And the answer is, of course, they are. But I want to get into something with all of that going on. I didn't even get into this issue today on the podcast, which I will cover on Monday, because it's just so vast. I'm going to try to cover it in 5 minutes here, but it's difficult to get in such a multifaceted issue that is so huge. Now, let me tell you, there are radical Islamists being unleashed, both in Canada and America. Today, we had a guy with a hatchet, Braveheart style, trying to take out for NYPD with a hatchet. At first, they're like, oh, no, it's not terrorism, you know. Now it comes out the guy was a complete radical Islamist. Same with the guy in Canada. Now, look, I don't know whether these are staged or not staged attacks. I'm not going to come out and within a few hours or a day say they are, because I haven't seen the proof for or against that argument. Now, I do know that when events like these happen on a much larger scale, the first potential culprit to look out for is government, because they stand the most to gain from creating a crisis. Remember, never let a crisis go to waste, according to Rahm Emanuel. So, you know, we have that going on. We have the Ebola thing going on where, again, Western or African dictatorships are implementing stronger procedures to stop the flow and the outbreak of Ebola in their country than we're here. After now 4 or 5 reported cases of Ebola, we have literally hundreds of flights coming and going in this country, or more, maybe thousands, carrying people coming and going from Western Africa. We still have our military over there. The borders are still wide open. It is a disaster by all accounts. So you would think, God, Fabian, with all these issues, my God, I mean, you know, what could be bigger? Well, what could be bigger is the speech that Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, gave today in this kind of billionaires club over in Sochi, Russia, where they held the Winter Olympics. And just a couple of the big things that he touched on, among many, is one, dollar losing world reserve currency status. Another one, U.S. is like the big brother who is blackmailing world leaders. And lastly, a major conflict is coming. Now, great article in this that I'll post down below from Yahoo News. Also, Bloomberg talked about the speech as well. I'm just going to cover a few of the points. But the first one is that the NSA is blackmailing world leaders. Now, we know on record they've been caught spying on the Brazilian leader, on Angela Merkel in Germany, and God knows who else they're spying on. That doesn't mean the Russians don't spy on people as well. As Edward Snowden has said, all of these different countries have their own kind of NSA, but the NSA is the most powerful and strongest, and has had, I think, the most advanced technologies that are being implemented, because they work with Facebook, they work with Google, they work with all these reverse Big Brother engines to make them even stronger and know even more about the people that they're spying on. Now, a great point of how this isn't a world leader, but take Chief Justice Roberts, the guy who decided the winning vote, if you will, in favor of Obamacare during the Supreme Court. Now, many people thought he was a shoo-in to vote against Obamacare because on its face it's completely unconstitutional, but he voted for it. Now, who's asking the question, what dirt did the White House have on him via the NSA spy grid, that they were basically going to say, listen, if you don't vote for us, we're going to basically just, leak you, coming out of some brothel at 2 in the morning all, drunk or whatever it is. You get the point. So, of course, the NSA is using blackmail to keep propping up not only the petrodollar, but the world reserve currency system, also the world order that is currently in line. It's being propped up. He also went to talk about how the dollar is losing its world reserve status, something that, you don't need to be a rocket science to know is happening. But again, via the NSA, via the bullying by the U.S. and look, if America truly had a legitimate government, we wouldn't be doing all of the things that Putin, and look, I'm not even saying that I like Putin. There's a bunch of things I dislike about him. I think at the end of the day, he's all freaked out because he's looking at a country, to put his words in perspective here. He's saying that that the world without rules is basically descending into anarchy. And that's exactly what we have. And the fraudster-in-chief Obama is the head puppet of the globalist leading this world without rules. It's basically, just like a kind of, I'll do whatever I want. Let's look at the NSA, which I talked about. Let's look at Ukraine, where clearly the West backed a coup of a democratically elected guy, put in a bunch of neo-Nazis who now were caught, their army caught with swastikas on their helmets. Where is Fox News on that one? What about Libya? We took out Muammar Gaddafi and basically was like, here you go, Al-Qaeda. Here's your new, basically, staging ground. Take it over. In Syria, we've done the same exact thing. ISIS, we funded ISIS, or shouldn't say we, the criminals in our government, have funded ISIS, gave them weapons. I did a whole video about this earlier in the week or last week, where not only is it just humanitarian aid that's being dropped to Syria now, it's actually guns where ISIS is like taking YouTube videos of them behind like caches of weapons that were dropped to them by the U.S. Government. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. If I wrote this in a book, people would be like, Fabian, that is such nonsense, but it's all true. So ISIS, what about in the financial world? What about the derivative time bomb? You don't think Putin and China are freaked out about that, and how the 70-to-1 leveraged Wall Street banks, the criminals that steal all the money and print trillions and export that inflation around the world, they're all freaked out about that and concerned about that? So of course, ladies and gentlemen, it is a world without rules. And Fox News and MSNBC will tell you, oh, it's the Russians to blame. I think the Russians are freaked out because America is out of control. I don't mean the American people, who I believe are good. I mean the criminals that have hijacked the republic. They have completely erased the founding principles of this country. They're doing it by design, and it's pretty scary. But I'll tell you, one of the things that Putin also said is that you can't humiliate partners around the world anymore. And that Russia's not going to back down, and they're not going to back down. The Washington Times has reported that Washington and its so-called allies have been scrambling jets almost daily by Russian incursions into, just basically going by Japan, going by Alaska. Almost a daily basis, they're scrambling jets to fend off Russian jet incursions. Now, this is I'm not a military guy, but I can tell you just from common sense, and I am a thinker, that they are testing reaction times by the West and seeing if it goes down. They want to start practicing now, because the leadership in this country, ladies and gentlemen, is so paid off by the globalists. They don't even care about protecting America or doing one of their real constitutional duties, which is protecting our borders. Those are clearly wide open. Now, another quick point I want to say here, because one of the Ivy Leaguers that's over at the State Department that has no credibility or experience whatsoever with anything, her name Jen Psaki, basically came out and said, quote, "The United States does not seek confrontation with Russia, but we cannot and will not compromise on the principles of which security in Europe and North America rest." Really? Really, Jan? You can't do that? That's why you leave America's borders open? That's why you allow people infected with Ebola into the country? I mean, it is a joke. Love to hear your feedback on this. I'm Fabian for Liberty. FabianForLiberty.com is the website. Have a wonderful weekend. Be sure to click the link down below to check out the Fabian Calvo Show today. If you're new to it, please subscribe. I post them almost daily, although this week was only twice. But I think you'll enjoy it if you like these videos. Thanks for watching. I'm out.